Hello again to all my viewers. Today, oh, what a treat we have today. A horror film titled A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Be warned, there are spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. This installment in the Nightmare series starts off very similar as the third did, with close-up shots of chalk as a little girl draws with it on the sidewalk. We see a familiar face walk up to the girl, and it is Kristen, who I referred to as Blonde, from the third film of the series. Kristen obviously recognizes the Elm Street house in front of her, so she asks the girl where Freddy is. The girl giggles, saying Freddy isn't home, and she moves her hand, showing Kristen the Freddy drawing she made. Kristen is startled when the weather suddenly erupts into a storm, and she walks towards the front door of the house and goes inside. She navigates the house with the feeling of being watched. Ooh, spooky! When she hears the signature screeching sounds of Freddy's razor scraping metal, she calls out for help from Joey and Kincade, who are also both from the last film as well. Kincade and Joey are upset that Kristen is always interrupting their dreams. Well, these are teenage boys we are talking about. Kristen tells them she can feel that Freddy is back, but Kincade ain't hearing none of that noise. Like, he reminds her Freddy cannot hurt them because he's dead. Joey's like, bitch! The boiler's been cold since we killed old Fred. As Kristen turns around, a POV shows something in the boiler rushing towards her. Then Kincade's dog jumps out of the boiler and bites Kristen's arm. The Dream Warriors all wake up, and we see the bite on Kristen's arm is actually real. The next day, Kristen drives to her friend's house to pick her up for school. Her name is Alice, and she has a brother named Rick, who Kristen is also dating. When they arrive at school, we meet another friend of the group named Debbie. She drools over another student in the parking lot named Dan, while Alice has a full-on fantasy about him, telling him he is one major league hunk. Alice snaps out of it, and Debbie runs over to bum homework off of their nerdy friend named Sheila. Then she straight up finds a cockroach in the bag of chips she was eating, so she stomps it out of existence. Kincade and Joey confront Kristen at her locker. The guys continue to deny that Freddy can hurt them, but Kristen shows them her arm and asks how it happened. Kincade tells her that it don't mean a thing, as his dog is just like him. You drag him into your crazy-ass dreams, and he gets wild on gang. Later in the day, we pick up with Alice and Rick back at home. We are treated to a montage of Rick practicing his sick martial arts skills. Hey-ya! When their father arrives home from work, Alice serves him the dinner she prepared for him. But he does what abusive alcoholics do. He projects his shit onto her shit. Alice daydreams about finally standing up to her alcoholic father, but snaps out of it when her brother tries taking up for her. We transition over to Kincade's house, where he is just dozing off to sleep. He is startled awake by his dog entering his room, but quickly falls back asleep, all while his pup can sense that evil is near. Kincade wakes up in the trunk of a damn car. After he opens it, we see he is in the old junkyard where Freddy was last buried. Now, Kincade knows immediately he's been caught lacking. He yells for Kristen, just hoping she will somehow hear him from her dreams. He climbs down from the pile of cars and sees his doggo just frantically digging in one spot. He calls the pup's name, but the dog snarls like a damn feral beast. That damn dog then lifts his leg up, and his pee-pee literally becomes a flamethrower. What? The fire spreads along the ground, and the earth opens up, revealing Fred Krueger's bones as they reconnect, and he becomes whole. Kincade skedaddles while Freddy goes on the hunt. Kincade pushes an old car on top of Freddy, but he celebrates too early because he gets surrounded by cars. Sadly, this is where Kincade meets his end. You were the best of the warriors, my friend. Back at Kristen's house, she tries to stay busy in order to stay awake. We see Joey doing the same, listening to MTV back when it was actually good. He stares at a poster of a model in a teeny bikini just before he passes out. He's awoken by the shaking of his waterbed, and when he pulls back the blankets, it's the model from his poster inside his bed, and she's naked. Things aren't good for long, though, when she swims away. Freddy suddenly bursts out of the bed with another one of his iconic lines. How's this for a wet dream? Rep young Joey. Alice meets Kristen at school the next day and they tragically find out Joey's fate. Kristen passes out from the shock, and when she wakes up in the nurse's office, the vibe is not feeling good. The nurse turns into Freddy, scaring Kristen into waking up for real. Afterward, the whole gang heads over to Freddy's old house so they can search for clues to end their nightmares once and for all. Before they can be in E, Kristen's mother shows up and drags her ass home. Probably to bathe. Oop. Looks like it's not to bathe. Her mother is freaking slipping her a roofie, bro. I guess the mom thinks her daughter is out of control and attention-seeking by never sleeping, so she wants her to sleep until she acts right, I guess. After Kristen succumbs to the roofie, she finds herself dreaming she is on a boat. Well, it's a beach. Out of nowhere, Freddy's razors poke out of the water like a damn shark fin. Whoa, that thing doesn't even slow down when it hits the sand, does it? Kristen didn't get the memo about not digging tunnels on the beach, and she falls into the sand as it collapses. Chatty Kruger slips his stunner shades on and straight up puts his boot on top of Christine's head, pushing her under the sand. That's a savage move, man. Whoa, man, Kristen falls through the sand. Death avoided so far. She falls into one of Freddy's familiar boiler room type settings. They just don't make movies like this anymore, man. Chessie Kruger is always 4 steps ahead, man. He starts taunting Kristen, trying to get her to bring all of her friends into the dream to help her. Kristen does see through the trick, but the bitch can't even control her powers, so she zaps Alice into the dream with her. Kristen knows she must sacrifice herself in order to save Alice, but before she does, I guess she transfers her dream powers to Alice. It's kind of like All for One from My Hero Academia. I know you dorks know what I mean. Anyway, when Alice wakes up, she rushes over to Kristen's house with her brother. Oh, whoa, man. Too late. She looking like burnt toast at this point, folks. We are back in the classroom. In the next scene, Freddy looks to be after the smart girl, Sheila. He scribbles little love notes on her paper before he somehow comes out of the damn papers. Sheila must be Fred's favorite because he puckers up and literally sucks the life right out of her. God damn, man. Man down. Where you from? Manai? Nah, I'm kidding. Some of these kills move a little fast. So Rick's dumbass falls asleep in a bathroom stall of all places. His dream world is this sort of cheesy dojo. So I actually know a funny fact about this scene. So they got Rick's lil ass fighting a completely invisible Freddy for this entire scene. You don't see him once. Turns out that production just didn't have the money to actually put Freddy in this scene. So they said, fuck it. We'll do it live, baby. Anyway, so yeah, Rick's dead, obviously. They had enough money to at least have the damn razor glove in the scene. So that thing just shoots into old Rick's chest. R.I.P., respectively. Alice gets depressed on the count of all of her friends dying, so she decides to go see a movie. Big mistake! That big silver screen starts sucking harder than my ex. Yeah, that one. And then Alice finds herself in the dream world. She's inside of the diner where she works, but there is some old hag running the joint. Alice is shocked to find out the hag is actually her future self, working at some shit small town diner for like 60 years, man. Jesus. Freddy shows up with appetizers and does the thing where the villain reveals all of his plans. He originally only wanted to kill Kristen because of her powerful dream skills, but since those powers were transferred over to Alice, it's unfinished business, you know? Freddy makes Alice anxious enough to accidentally use her powers to bring Debbie into the dream. Then Freddy jacks Alice out of the Matrix so he can work out with her, I guess. Alice immediately jumps into her truck with Dan so they can try and go save Debbie. Spoiler alert, they ain't saving Debbie. Freddy is too busy turning this beautiful girl into a goddamn cockroach, man. This scene always gave me the heebie-jeebies. Freddy crushes cockroach Debbie, so it's R.I.P. once again to another soldier lost. Pour one out over there, Andrew. Freddy appears in the middle of the road while Alice and Dan are still driving, and when they hit him, well, he definitely beat the truck in that battle. Dan didn't buckle up. Silly Dan. Now you've got a yellow skello, buddy. They get Dan into surgery to suck out all that chilo. But looks like Dr. Gregory Krueger will be performing this surgery. Alice zaps herself into the dream surgery, saving Dan's life. They both escape through some kind of carnival maze thing. Probably another budget thing. Anyway, Dan starts bleeding in his chest IRL, so his dream body has to leave Alice by herself. The face-off begins. Bitch! Freddy shows up and starts battling Alice immediately. Alice is whooping him, but Freddy still has plot armor, so he laughs and looks to have the upper hand. But nope. Alice reaches deep down, pulls up her panties, and realizes what she must do to win. She grabs a broken mirror and shows Freddy his old burnt-ass looking head. Fred had been looks maxing, I think. So this just breaks his psyche, and light shoots out of him like it usually does. Fred is dead! Finally! In the end, Alice and Dan are smooching by a fountain. There is always a creepy part at the end of the nightmare films. So Alice sees a reflection of Freddy in the fountain water, foreshadowing his return, I'm sure. And that completes our story for today. Guys, thank you for having me present today's entertainment. And I do not think there is a single boring moment in this film. I just have a problem where I sound like I'm reading a script when I'm reading a script. You know? Fuck, I'm rambling. This has been another movie recap from 7cc Movie. Oh yeah, like and subscribe, please. And thank you. Thank you.